Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin and today I have another installment of Bookends. It is the series where I put an end to all of the unread books on my shelves. Hopefully, maybe, one day. But basically this is just to show you the books that I have bought over the past 3 months and the ones that I read so that I could kind of make my way to 90 unread books on my shelves. We left off with 122 books on my shelves. Now, hopefully I will be under 122. Could I be at 100? No, I can't. But maybe I'll be close to like 115 or something. I don't know. And remember, I made this rule that was for every one book read, I could buy, nope, that's not the rule. The rule was for every 2 books read, I could buy 1 book. That was the rule. Clearly, I couldn't even remember the rule, so that went right out of the window. But let's get into these books and see where I end. I'm not gonna give like a synopsis of all of the books that I read. You can find those in wrap-ups, and I'm not gonna really talk about the ones that I bought because there's a pretty good chance that I don't know what they're about. What's new here? So let's just dive right in. Starting with January, there were some books that were Christmas gifts that came in early January, and they are The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. This is the last book in the Poppy War series. House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in the Crescent City series. And then I had 2 Book of the Month books that I was interested in. The first was The Magnolia Palace by Fiona Davis, and the second was Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. And those were all of the books that I brought in for January. We're off to a good start because I read a lot of great things in January. The first thing that I read, not necessarily of the year, but from the books that I own, was The Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This is the second in the Arc of a Scythe series. I was buddy reading this with Ray. I also read The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin, also second in the series. I was really going through series. And next is Slumdog Millionaire. I did pick this up, but I ended up DNFing it because I just wasn't in the headspace for it. And so yeah, I just put it down. So it will be getting donated. Then I read The Year of the Witching, which I have a whole vlog about if you're interested in my thoughts on this. And then in January, I got the last book in the series, but I started the series, which is The Poppy War. And that's also partly in the vlog with The Year of the Witching. And so that's how, January started off with a bang. Isn't that how it always goes though? Like you just kick off the year and you're like doing great. But let's just see how the rest of it is going. Moving on to February, I also picked up some more things. I went to a library sale and I just couldn't resist cheap books. So everything I picked up in February was from that library sale. The first thing that I picked up was One Day We'll All Be Dead and None of This Will Matter by Sashi Cool. I've seen this for a while now and I've been interested to see like what it's about. So it was there, I got it. And then because I was reading The Poppy War, I think I saw in a few places and saw a few people mention that the events of The Poppy War were like heavily influenced by the events that take place, like real life events of this book, which is The Rape of Nanking by Iris Chang. So I thought that would be interesting to read once I was done with the series. This book is a part of the 22 series that I want to read in 2022, and that is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. We'll see how it goes. So far, I have enjoyed all the Schwaby things that I have read, and so I'm really excited and curious to get to this one. I also picked The Boyfriend Project by Farah Rashan. And last, I don't know what compelled me to buy this book. I think I saw it and was like, this looks interesting. And then I read the synopsis on the inside cover and I was like, could be a good time. Maybe not. A Royal Pain by Rise Bowen. Don't ask me what this book is about. I think she's, well, obviously she's a maid. Is she a spy as well? Does she like become a spy? I don't know. I don't know shit about this book, but here we go. And so that was everything that I picked up in February, but of course I read some things, right? I was buddy reading Thunderhead with Ray in January, and then me, Ray, and Dasha continued with The Toll in February. So I did that and I finished out the series, so yay. Then I wanted a little bit of romance, you know, for February, so I picked up Sweet Hand by N.G. Peltier. And I was so compelled when I read The Poppy War that I needed to continue with The Dragon Republic because I needed to know what happened next, so I did. And that's where we end with things that I read from my physical shelves in February. Did I do great? No. Did I bring in more than I read? Yes. Will March fix everything? I don't know. We're gonna find out together because I feel like looking at the balance, the like books, they could be even. I could break even. Maybe I read a little bit more than I bought. But I don't know. I will say I did buy a lot of books in March because I was just having a sad girl March, and you know what makes me feel better? Buying things, mostly books. And so I did. So first off, in March, I got my book of the month pick, and that was The Cartographers by Pang Shepard. So fun story, one day I was meeting up with a friend and they were running a little late, so I said, hey, I'll just stop into this Barnes & Noble while I'm here and I'm just gonna browse, you know. So what had happened was I walked into Barnes & Noble and I actually had one book that I wanted to get. They didn't have it, but I came out with more than one. And so I got The Promised Neverland, the very first volume. Not bad, right? Then I got Sweat and Soap, also the first volume. I picked up Vengeful, which is the second book in the Villains series by V.E. Schwab. I read Vicious last year. It was one of my most favorite books of the year, and so I wanted to finish the series. So I was like, perfect time. A Moral Men by Derek Del Guadio. I think it has to do with a magician. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I go into bookstores and I blank out. I go in there and I'm just like, yes, that one, that one, that one, all of them. South to America by Imani Perry. This is a nonfiction that was an anticipated read for me, so I am excited for this one for sure. And then the last book that I got from Barnes & Noble is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. There are a bunch of lovely Black women creators on YouTube who are doing a Cosmere read-along, and so this is one of the books that they will be getting to this year, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna read it, so I'll just pick it up. So I did. And then I went to meet up with my friend and I had way too much shit in my hands. And for the read-along, I will put the creators and their information down below so you can join them. And that's what I bought in March. I'm just kidding, y'all. I bought more things. What is wrong with me? Speaking of the Brandon Sanderson Cosmere read-along, I picked up the entire Mistborn First Era trilogy. This isn't even in the right order. But I knew that I was gonna be reading it, so I went ahead and I picked it up. This book does, The Final Empire, which is the first book, does not actually count against me because I already had a copy, but I got this from like a thrift store and it was fine. But as I was like reading it and going through, I just noticed that like the pages were torn and like one page was completely ripped in half. So I was like, I don't even know what's happening. So I was like, I can't read this. So I ended up picking up, I was like, well, I need a copy anyway, and I'm gonna read the rest of the series, right? So I went ahead. So this is a 1-for-1, just an exchange. This does not count. But these two do. They count against me. Yay! The Well of Ascension and The Hero of Ages. This book was my anticipated read of the year. It's the only book that I really, really, really wanted to get my hands on, and that was Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I wanted this and I had pre-ordered it, so I knew it was coming. I knew it was gonna count for my, like, against me. But I also knew that as soon as I got into my hands, I was going to pick it up and read it. And then for Jess Owen's book Communal Read, the pick for March, whatever, was Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall. This has been something I've been wanting to read forever. And so I knew that I was gonna read it and I was gonna do a hybrid read of it. So I wanted to get the book so that I could like put tabs in it and stuff. And really that really is everything that I bought for March, I promise. Hopefully I will have read as many books as I bought in. The stacks look comparable, but you know, it's real dodgy around here. One of the things that I read was Gallant, because as soon as I got it into my grubby hands, I read it. I was so excited to get this that I don't even remember what I was reading, but like I immediately tossed everything away and I was like, I'm just reading this for the next day or two. I also read Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall. And getting started with the Brandon Sanderson read-along, I read The Final Empire. One book that I did read that I don't have with me right now because I let a friend borrow it was The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. That is the third book in the Broken Earth trilogy. So not only did I read a book from my shelf, but I finished out a series. So I'm very, very happy about that. So we're gonna count it. It was a book that was on my physical shelf. It will still probably live here with its family of sibling books that are behind me somewhere. We're gonna do a little throwback to earlier in the video when I talked about books that I got for Christmas, but I read The Burning God, which is also the last book in the Poppy War series, so another series done. I made a video either beginning of this year or one of my end of year videos talking about books that I needed to read before the end of 2022 because I've had them for so long and I just needed to make a decision about either reading them or letting them go. And 3 of these books I have not read, but I've just decided that I really don't have an interest in reading them, and if I do, I can pick them up from the library. One of them is White Rage by Carol Anderson, Lies My Teacher Told Me by James Lowen, and Game Change by John Heilemann and Mark Halperin. I'm probably actually never going to get this book from the library if I'm going to be honest. And then I have a couple of more books. One of them was unfortunately a DNF for me, and that was My Life as an Ice Cream Sandwich by E.B. Savoy. I was disappointed because I really have enjoyed the other works that I've read by E.B. Savoy, and this is her middle grade book, and it wasn't for me. So I ended up DNFing it, but it's off my shelf now, so there's that. And then I started, so I'm counting it, How to Slowly Kill Yourself and Others in America by Kiese Layman. This is a collection of essays by him, and you would think it's so small that I could just fly through it, but the essays are a little bit more intense and in-depth than I thought that they were, so I was not able to finish it in March, but I did start it, so it counts. It's off my shelf. And that is everything that I read in the first quarter. That is everything I bought in the first quarter, which is a lot. And so if my math is mathing, I think I'm at 124, which is not terrible, but that's not the goal of this. So I either need to stop buying books or I need to read faster. But I will say I'm really killing it with series. I'm really like making my way through all of them. I'm very happy about it. If you're interested in my thoughts on either January or February's books that I read, I have my wrap up. You know, I have the vlog for 2 of the books. I have a full review of Gallant, and so I will link all of those things down below. Have you guys been buying books lately? Have you read any of the books that I bought and you're like, you need to get to that immediately? Now, what are you doing? Why have you not read it? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye.